Hey everyone, Paul Dufresne. I'm the sales engineer for Pelco West Coast. Um, Here to talk a little bit about Elevate, which is a brand new feature on Pelco cameras, and I'm going to share a screen. So you may have heard about Pelco Elevate. It's a new feature, or a relatively new feature, came out late last year in a beta phase for newer Pelco cameras, right? Think about your Sarx Pro 4s, Sarx Enhanced 4s, all the new devices. And what exactly is Elevate? So right now, where Elevate stands, it's a cloud enablement for Pelco cameras. And what does that mean, right? It allows you to talk to an Elevate service that sits up in the cloud. And right now, what that capabilities are, is image health, right? I can determine what the quality of my image is that my cameras are looking at. If I get obscured by dust on the front of the lens, gets pointed it into a different direction, all those kind of things. Elevate's going to give you alerts and let you know in two ways. One is an on-VIF alert, as you can see here, down to whatever platform you have that's on-VIF compliant. It'll send down an on-VIF alarm. And also you can schedule, what I get is daily reports of what do my cameras look like. Are there some cameras that might be not performing or not looking at what I expect it to, right? So that's the current version of Elevate. It does a lot of functionality for health checks. You always want to make sure that your cameras are doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're looking at what they're supposed to be doing. Oftentimes we get the request where there was a camera down or an incident happened, which is the last thing that you want to have happen, right? So this is a really nice way of constantly giving you information about where your cameras stand within your BMS platform, right? Markets that this applies to, for me, it's anywhere, right? That allows cloud connections. And that's a pretty important conversation there, right? Because what Elevate is actually a service that runs on the camera itself, and it communicates with the Elevate cloud, which is an AWS instance of IoT channel, right? So anywhere that you can have a camera that can communicate with a cloud, that's an absolutely 100% applicable purpose for that, for Elevate. A couple of things that we're trying to look at, like I said, when we're thinking about Elevate, what do we want to solve with this solution, right? If I have to go out and constantly update firmwares, if I have to go check on cameras to make sure that they're all working, or I'm going to rely on a customer to check for me, right? Those are a lot of things that I want to, be able to have automated. I don't want to have to go out and check those myself. If I can have a service that's running on the cameras themselves that automates that whole process and lets me know status of everything, that's a great thing, right? I get a daily report and it's going to show me what's going on, right? The other thing I've been doing Pelco for a long time. Probably the number one issue that we run into with people is outdated firmware on cameras, right? Customers are looking for a certain feature, maybe a cybersecurity vulnerability, a bug that we've known about. Well, you end up looking at the cameras, and the firmware that they have on that camera is 2 or 3 revisions back, and all of those issues have been addressed, right? But it's not, a lot of times those cameras don't get updated. So one of the features that's going to be released this month, or excuse me, in June of 2024, is the ability to be able to push software updates to the camera automatically. And again, image health is a really important one. Oftentimes you'll have cameras that are obscured or dust covered or pointing in a different direction. So again, that's giving you multiple location reports of what's going on with your cameras, all within a single web dashboard that we'll take a look at here shortly. And we talked about the camera updates. Cybersecurity is an important feature on there. Everyone wants to know, if you're talking about cloud, that hey, I'm not going to get hacked, or my transmissions aren't going to be sniffed, right? So Motorola being very cognizant of cybersecurity, we put a lot of protections in place to be able to secure all that information going from the camera up to the cloud, right? So, well, like I said, we're using AWS IoT services. Another thing Motorola has is a cybersecurity managed service that you can get, and it'll do investigations on your platform, on your systems, check for cybersecurity threats, take a look at those, and make sure that everything is secure on your systems. Current generation of cameras that are Elevate enabled, and some of these firmwares are out currently, right? If you see on there, it's all the relatively new cameras, right? And if you've been doing Pelco for a while, you know we've got a slew of IP cameras. Some of the older generations are not going to be Elevate enabled. Let's say Cerix Enhanced 3, Cerix Pro 3. Some of the older cameras, you're not going to find this feature in there, right? It's all the relatively new ones that we have available for us, right? So Enhanced 4, Pro 4, Cerix Fisheye, Multi-Enhanced. Those are all with firmware updates on the cameras. Probably be the last time you have to do a firmware update once the firmware management comes around. That gives you that ability to be able to download it, install it, and then once cloud-based firmware management gets enabled this month, you'll be able to do that automatically or schedule that, right? So that's a really nice feature to be able to have that instead of having to download and push everything out. I'm going to skip through some of those use cases. The one last thing I'll talk about, and it was something that had been shown at ISC West this year, is another new feature that's coming out. Probably about September of this year, you'll have visible firearm detection. That is an analytic that'll be running within Elevate, and 100% or as close as you can get verification up into the Elevate cloud, right? So that's going to be an exciting new feature. Keep your ear to the ground, something that'll be coming out very shortly, and that's good stuff.